I'm sure I have it. I can't walk upstairs. It's really bizarre.
I don't know my left and right
Same.
at all.
No, I really struggle.
If somebody gives me instructions,
I can't follow them.
I cannot understand them.
I have to watch someone do it first.
It's like at football, they'll be like, okay, this is the drill. We're going to do this and this. And I just look at them like this.
No, it's crazy. That's why I have to go to the same spin class every week, because if they change the instructions, it's curtains to me.
Welcome to Out of Office with Kim. I'm your lovely host, Kim, all the way from sunny South East London. On Out of Office, we have an amazing show. We just talk to people about their careers, their life, fun, vibes, jokes. It's basically the best vodcast show you'll ever see in your life. So, it's really good to get tuned in. Each week we've got different guests, and I've basically just I'm being a bit nosy, really. I just want to talk to people who've got cool jobs. So that's why we're here today. Today's episode, we've got the wonderful Molly. Molly, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Molly.
Do you want to say anything else? The surname?
Molly O'Halloran. Molly O'Halloran, and I'm a knitwear designer.
Woo! Crowd goes wild. As you can see, if you are actually watching today's episode, we are in knitwear from Molly. This is the most recent collection I've got on.
Yeah, that's the most recent one. This is one of the originals.
How would you describe the one I've got on today?
You've got a gorgeous little mohair knit, a brush, so it's super soft, stripy, monochrome. We love it.
Thank you very much. So, you're on Out of Office with Kim. It's your first time.
I know, I'm so excited.
As we are out of the office and we're really focusing on the careers, the journey, right?
Yeah.
We have to start with a cheeky interview question.
Okay.
Right? I've tried to find the most cringiest questions I could find on the interweb.
Oh my God, love.
So your question today is, and this was chosen by Lily herself.
Oh,
way. Yeah.
love.
So this is tailored.
Okay.
If you could go on X Factor, what would your song be?
Oh my God. I think I'd do Young Hearts Run Free.
Why would you choose that one?
Because it's the only song I know all the words to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you really feel like you'd get to the next level?
I wouldn't get through, no. I can't sing.
Oh.
But I will give it a good go.
Do you want to give a quick snippet now?
Absolutely not,
Okay.
no.
A quick rendition?
No, I don't think I can.
So we won't be seeing any singing from you soon?
No, I think I might be the definition of tone deaf.
Okay. Right, all right. I like that. Let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about your brand.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did we start?
How did I start? So I studied textiles at uni, worked as a knitwear designer after I graduated, had a job in studio, I was working as a freelancer, and then lockdown hit and had all this spare time, had my knitting machine, thought, let me knock up a few pieces, stick it on Depop, and it actually really took off from there really quickly. Everything sold out super fast. It kind of was a time, I guess everyone was at home a lot in lockdown. It felt like anything that was going on Depop was honestly selling within minutes. Like it was, I think people were around, they were ready to shop. Like it was a good time, good place, right time kind of vibe.
Did you envision it to be, like when you started selling your pieces, did you just think, I'm just going to do this and see how it lands? Or did you think...
No, do you know what? I never wanted to run my own brand. That was never something I was interested in doing. Always thought I wanted to work for other people. It was really literally side hustle, something to do. Yeah, like something to do and knock down. And then my old boss found out, and I kind of wasn't too happy about it. So I thought, you know what? It's going really well. I'm going to leave. I'm going to see how it goes. And never looked back.
And now we're here. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the actual pieces. So I think you're quite known for this vibrant colours, right? You really
I love my colour.
The colours, you know what I mean? What makes you, what was your choice behind going for the colourful vibe? Because I feel like your pieces are very, very, it's your piece, That's what's on down the street. I'm like, I did that to someone the other day. I was like, is that Molly? Yeah. She's like, yeah, do you know her? I was like, yeah, that's my mate.
Oh my God.
So talk to me a bit about design. How did we get here?
Do you know what? It's really interesting because when I was at uni, I never worked with colour that much. And I think I came out of uni, I had a bit of money from working to spend on the yarns. And I just kind of had this the project has always been a lot about exploration of colour. I think colour theory is so interesting. I think especially in lockdown when I started, people wanted exciting clothes. No one was interested in wearing plain colours. And I think clothes can really accentuate your life, and I think it's so important. Colour's always been a big part of the brand.
I feel like usually on this show, we do talk about how I know the guests.
Okay.
Some people I don't know. No. Some people I've got an actual connection with. I know them in my day-to-day personal life. So I thought it would be good to share our introductory story. Do you remember meeting me?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Wait, what are you doing?
Nell's birthday.
It was one of Nell's parties.
Yeah.
And you came up to me and you were like, oh my gosh, I want you to model for my brand. Do you remember this? I'd never modeled before. Ever.
Oh, have we not met before that?
I don't think so. It was like in Nell's kitchen. I don't know if it was her birthday or like one of her grandparents. Wow. One of her parents' parties. But we had maybe met very vaguely.
Okay.
But one of our conversations that really like stuck with me is you were like, I want you to model for my brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? And you was like, I can envision it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I'd never modeled before. And after modeling with you, I will say like, it really boosted my confidence.
Oh, I love that.
Because I've never thought, I'm quite small, people who can't say age. I am 5'5". I'm 5'5". I didn't ever think modeling was a thing for me, but working with you and doing the shoot that we did, I just felt really empowered.
Oh, I love
and it was
that.
really beautiful. So I want to touch on as well a little bit about, I feel like your choice of models, you have quite an inclusive range of different models.
Yeah.
How do you go about choosing them?
Do you know what? It's really interesting with the models because like you, I'm really short. Actually, you're a lot taller than me.
2 inches, yep.
But I've always thought that kind of generic modelling standards are ridiculous. There's absolutely no need for any of that. I personally think clothes look better on real people. Mm-hmm. And it's always just been, do you know what? At the start, it was friends. It was people I knew. Mm-hmm. Like my first model was my best friend from school, and she lived down the road at the time. So she used to just pop round and get the pics in my old like childhood bedroom. Like, it really was kind of like
very just organic.
Very like homegrown. And then like as we expanded, we worked with like a couple of models from agencies who were new faces, so new to the agency, and like they would kind of work for like, as the brand was so small, like a smaller fee to get some experience. And we worked with some amazing girls. Like one of the models posted something on Instagram recently saying that we were her first shoot, and like kind of similar things to you, which is so nice
as well.
Yeah, saying that like it gave her so much confidence, and like she'd had like such a good experience on that shoot, she decided to like definitely stick with modelling. And like I don't know, all of that like is really important to me. Like who I work with, Georgia, my assistant, like we're such good friends. So when the models come in, we want them to like feel just as comfortable. And yeah, I just think it's important. Like,
so you really think really think even hearing the way you're describing it, I feel like it really speaks to your brand, and kind of what you believe in and what you stand for. Because I didn't think about the fact that modeling. Yeah, as I said, I never thought that because I'm short. I am stunning. Do you know what I mean? But I am short, so I just kind of feel that's not something I'd ever go into. But I feel like when you go on your Instagram page, it's just, obviously it's absolutely beautiful, stunning women, but it's just people. They just look like people.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that helps when people are searching for things to buy.
Yeah, and I think everyone wants to see themselves reflected back in, you know, social media, in the kind of brands they support. And I think the best thing to do is just to work with real women, and obviously everyone is gorgeous in their own right, and the clothes look better on real people 100%. And they look more attainable, and like I think it creates like a really good community feel as well on the Instagram.
It's about the community.
Yeah, and it's like and most of the time it's girls I know or like have met through work, so it kind of feels like we've kind of built this kind of family of models as well, that everyone kind of knows each other. And yeah, it's become like really, really exciting. And also like you want to go to work with people you know and love, do you know what I mean? And you want it to be fun. And you want people to look at the pictures and think, oh yeah, I could wear that.
Exactly. Yeah. Does that link into what, because you do made to order, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What made you choose that?
To be honest, at the start, it was more of like to meet demand.
Okay.
So because we knit everything in house, and at the beginning I knitted everything, it cuts costs if you kind of you're only making what people will buy or what people request to buy. So it started off as that, and then it seemed to be the easiest thing to do.
Really?
Well, because if you're releasing a jumper and you're going to do say 5 smalls, 5 mediums, 2 extra small, 2 larges, and like all the larges sell out in a minute, and you've got this other stock, you're missing out on making money. So it's not cost effective really to start as a small brand with loads of stock.
Strategy.
So yeah, no, it is in that way. It does, and also it means that we can be inclusive. There's always going to be a size that someone can get their hands on. We can cater to anyone, and if your size isn't on the website, drop us a message and we can.
Because that's what I was going to ask you. Do you do like your standard sizing, small, medium, large, extra large?
Yeah.
And then if someone feels like they fit in between us, because obviously That's a very I feel like it's a very narrow margin to be small, medium. Some people could be in between.
Yeah, literally.
Who really defines these sizes?
Honestly, the sizing thing I think is just ridiculous anyway.
Yeah.
Like, luckily with knitwear, because it's so stretchy, we can do double sizing. So
okay.
a small will be an 8 to 10, and mediums 12 to 14. So that kind of gets a little bit of leeway in there. With our standard sizing, we wouldn't offer like in between sizes. But if you want to go up, if it's something you need something a bit bigger or a bit smaller, we can work with that. We also can do custom lengths. If you know, I remember at the start we'd had a little girls like, I've got really long arms, or I've got short arms. Like, can we change it? Yeah, and then we're like, yeah, of course we can. Same with the dresses and the skirts. If you want. The skirts we offer in 2 lengths, but if you wanted something longer or shorter, we could do that too.
I'm coming for one of your skirts. I want it super long.
Yeah, no, I think that's spring. Going to be a summer drop. Spring summer drop.
So that was secret.
Yeah, might be a little inside. We might be doing maxi skirts. Yeah,
my dream. That's my favorite. That is my favorite piece of clothing at the minute. Like really
long skirts.
Because I feel like it works with my body type. Because I'm all about the silhouettes.
You are. Yeah,
I like the way the long, super long works, because you can just kind of dress it up in different shapes. Anyways, talking about me, as always. So the way that you've done with the sizing and stuff, and you're doing made to order, obviously it feeds into the zero waste, because I know you're super sustainable.
I'm trying.
I really, really want to touch on that, because I was having this conversation with someone the other day that you have actually changed the way that I shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, having conversations with you, albeit they've been, a bit of a party. And it's me and you in the corner.
Yeah,
talking to you about like fast fashion and greenwashing. To be honest, to be truthful with you, not things I didn't know that much about.
Yeah.
At the time, I definitely was shopping at places like Pretty Little Thing.
Yeah.
Just because it was convenient.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Yeah.
And we were kind of in that time where people wanted to wear a new outfit every weekend. So for that, I'm going to buy a little cheeky top that's made of nonsense and feeds into very terrible, terrible practices. Anyways, from speaking with you, it made me realize just how I can just stop that, basically. So I want to talk to you about your sustainability. What are the practices that you include to make sure that you are a sustainable babe?
In work or in my life?
Oh, that is actually both.
Yeah, I think at work, obviously, everything is knitted. So we use a technique called fully fashioning.
Oh, please tell us.
Please tell us. Every panel on the jumper is knitted to shape rather than being cut out of a fabric. So it means it's a zero waste practice. So really, at the end of the day, we're throwing away like centimetres of threads rather than yards and yards of fabric, which is a huge problem in the fashion industry, especially within kind of fast fashion. So that's like one of the main things we do with the make to order anyway. We don't have stock left over.
Lovely.
I also, because we make to order, we can order yarn to yarn orders, if you know what I mean. So that means that there's never yarn sitting around, nothing's wasted.
Wow.
Yeah, even things.
Take note, everybody.
Yeah, and even things like with the mohair jumpers, like because the yarn has been washed before we get it, we don't wash it before we send out, which a lot of places do.
Okay.
And that means that we're not using extra water, because that's actually another problem in the fashion industry that I don't think a lot of people know about.
Because that's what you told me about. I was like, oh my gosh. Because I think people just kind of box it into, I'm just going to stop shopping at Pretty Little Thing. I think that's kind of the end of it. So like, tell us more about the issues.
Yeah, well, I think obviously one of the main things in the fashion industry is, overconsumption. And that's why I think it's really important for me anyway, to design pieces that are hopefully, although they're exciting and colourful, they're kind of classic and they'll be in your wardrobe for a long time. Yeah, because I do think that if something is really gorgeous and beautiful, you're going to want to hang on to it. Absolutely. And, that throwaway fashion is such a big issue. Another big problem is obviously, wastage, which happens a lot with cut and sew garments, especially. And then also water, which is a big problem with fabrics like cotton, because they need to be washed. But on the flip side of that, we do use cotton, because although it does use large amounts of water, it isn't as toxic for the environment as, say, like a polyester. I do have a little bit of a gripe with vegan fabric.
Tell me more.
Because,
what about vegan leather? Because
vegan leather,
Dr. Martin have got some good little vegan leather going on. What's your issues?
I think with clothing labelled vegan, you have to be really careful, and you have to think is this a vegan product that is better for the environment? Say like with apple leathers and things like that, fruit leathers, they're amazing. They're biodegradable. That's such a sustainable practice. But I think things like PVC and also a lot of clothing brands, like I'm not going to name any names, that have produced vegan, say they're a vegan brand, they're actually just using polyester, which is a very cheap fabric. If it's not recycled, it's made new. So that's even worse. And it is gonna, be on the planet forever. There's no getting rid of that. So I think it's important to just be conscious when you are shopping. I think something that's gonna degrade over time is always the best option. I feel like we've seen a shift in people's, let's say, consciousness of shopping fast fashion, because I feel like we've moved to this time where people are doing secondhand. Depop came along and that was the rave. And also good for you to put your old clothes up and sell them, and you don't feel like you're wasting them, right? And then now we've got Vinted and everyone's going Vinted man, which is, I'm enjoying it personally. But I feel like we suddenly hit another corner where fast fashion is coming back in terms of like TikTok shop. I'm seeing all these little £3 jumper, £4 bodysuit, all this stuff. Like, we seem to be going backwards again. And I was wondering for you, how do you compete with that? Because it's hard. Have you noticed a difference at all? Do you know what? It's really interesting. I think when we started, there was such a demand for sustainable small brands. Because it was lockdown, right? Yeah, it was lockdown. It was such a buzzword, and it seemed like there was going to be real change in the industry, and that's how a lot of people were starting to shop, and that has continued. Like, I think that won't ever go anywhere, but 100%. I think TikTok shop is so scary. So scary. It's terrifying to me that people are buying tops for £2. But it's like it's like a with, like, say for example, places like AliExpress, right? It's AliExpress. The things are £2. You're not going to go on there. But the way they've done it on TikTok is a bit sly. It's very sneaky. Where people aren't putting two and two together, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can buy a gym set for £7." Boom, order. And they're not. I don't know how they've done it. To be fair, I don't know how they've done it, but TikTok shop clothing. That's what I'm saying. We're going backwards, and I think people aren't realizing. Because maybe it's through the medium of TikTok? Yeah, I don't know. I also think it is strange to me. I think, the TikTok thing seems to have kind of like skewed the narrative a bit. Yeah. It's like the way it's like people are saying, oh, if it's not from AliExpress and it's from TikTok shop, it's all right. It seems it's better. Not. It's not the same. Yeah, it's the same. And if anything, they're probably coming from factories with even less regulations. Do you know what I mean? I think you just always have to think, if a top new is £2, like, who's made that and what they've been paid to make that? Absolutely. With bearing in mind that obviously people spend within their means, right? Of course. And I think that's another thing with, being sustainable shopper. It's difficult because you look at some of the pricings of things. Yeah. So for example, and it's weird because I think my brain never put Primark in the fast fashion. I don't know why. Maybe because it's a shop. Yeah. Maybe. And also because it's been there my whole life, right? Yeah. And because I buy things like socks and underwear as opposed to full pieces, right? But I think when people think about Primark, they think, oh, I can get a vest for £3. I can get a Skims dupe for £5. I'm not going to spend the full, money. So I think it's obviously always key to think people are going to spend within their means. For some people, it's not reasonable to buy a top for £80. Absolutely. Obviously. Yeah. For some people, it is. So I think the conversation around sustainability, sustainable fashion and being a conscious shopper, it really is dependent on your situation. So I think it's like cutting down or being more conscious where you can. Yeah, definitely. And I think all of this needs to be kind of caveated and looked at. There's nuances to everything. Absolutely. And of course, everyone should have access to clothes they can afford. Like, no one should be walking around without, socks on or a coat on their back. That's a completely different situation. And people should always have access to, well-made clothing for a fair price. I think that's really important. But I think, there is a large demographic with a lot of disposable income who are shopping in a way that is, not helpful, not great for the environment. And I'm guilty. I used to be guilty of it too. I'm still not a perfect person. I still make, not the best choices all the time. But I think it's just having that thought in your head that, do you need another £10 top this week or £15 top? And if I put all these £15 tops together that, normally end up in the bin in a year, could I have spent that on something that I'm going to have forever? I think it's really about like shifting your narrative with your relationship with clothes. Like, as I said before, do you need to keep buying things every single week? Also,
aside from the fact it's not sustainable, like, who can afford to keep buying things every single week? So now I'm trying to shift the narrative of like, I want to buy one good piece that I can wear loads of times. So for example, your jumpers, right? You can dress them up, you can dress them down, you can style them with whatever. So it's like, it doesn't feel like I keep wearing the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's 100% it. It's having pieces in your wardrobe that you know you're always going to reach for, that you can dress up, dress down, and, you know, hopefully hold on to ever. And they'll always look good.
They will.
I think that's important too.
So talk to me a little bit about how you go about with your pricing. Because and also, where would you place yourself in terms of like pricing? Would you say you're in the high? You're not in the obviously like £400,000, but obviously you're more than a £3 top.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think we're a mid-range brand.
Okay.
You know, if you actually look at like some of the prices at places like Paloma Wool, even Peachy Den that just started doing knitwear, we are really
loving Peachy Den, by the way.
They do. See, that's another thing. You can kind of shop from smaller brands as well. That's another way of being sustainable. That like, even though they're not a brand that says that they're super sustainable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, those smaller brands won't be having such a big footprint. I think that's important. But yeah, we kind of sit in between Peachy Den, Paloma Wool. We're kind of like, well, hopefully we're sitting in that kind of bracket.
How do you do the pricing? Like, talk to me about the cost.
So the pricing is done based on the cost of the yarn, the knit time, which varies for kind of jumper to jumper.
How long would it take you to make this gorgeous little mohair number I'm wearing right now?
The knitting can be on those is like anywhere between like 40 minutes to like 2 hours, depending on what machine it's knitted on, because we have some that are electronic and some that aren't. And then linking, which is like putting it together, is like another half an hour.
Okay, quicker than I thought, actually.
Yeah, half an hour. And then the brushing takes like maybe another half an hour to brush it, pack it.
But still, that's still one piece.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the manual labour of it. You know, the yarn still costs money, the labels cost money, the shipping costs money. And then you have to, you know, make profit on top and pay for your studio and pay your staff. Like,
money
comes into it. It's all very expensive. So yeah, the pricing's done based on kind of knit time, materials cost, overheads of the business. And then we do also, so some pieces have a bigger profit margin than others. So say our like mini cardigans that are super cute and in theory you think would be a cheaper piece to make because they're smaller, they actually take longer than the jumpers.
And why is that?
Because they're more fiddly, you know, they've got buttons, they've got buttonholes. Cardigans are just a bit of a nightmare as a whole, to be honest. I don't think people know that. They're actually very much more difficult to make than jumpers. So they're, you know, the cost of them is much higher, but people aren't going to pay more for a tiny cardigan.
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it's less material.
Yeah, exactly. Even though it takes a lot longer to make, no one's going to do that. So you have to bring your margins down on pieces like that. You also have some pieces that have much bigger margins, so you make your profit back up there. So it's kind of, pricing is a bit of a, for me anyway, because we don't have a, you know, I don't have a financial team. We don't have, you know, that kind of in place. It's a bit of a like, it's a bit of a, you know, push and pull with different pieces in the collection.
I'm very, very happy we're talking about money.
Yeah.
Funds, dinero, dollars.
We love it.
Pounds, actually, it seems.
Yeah.
So you're obviously in my mind, I think you're a super successful businesswoman in my mind.
You.
I really, sometimes speaking about you in other spaces, it just blows me away how successful and talented you are. And I think people don't realise the work it takes to have your own business. Yeah. You know? It's not just, I'm going to make it tonight and I'm going to get cracking with it.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing. You work for yourself. So talk to me a little bit about capital.
Okay.
It's getting off the ground, right? I really want to get into that.
Yeah.
So you started, obviously, lockdown.
Yeah.
Talk to me about all the monies, the financials.
So, do you know what? It is an interesting one. I had an £800 tax rebate.
Ooh, that's quite a big one.
It's quite big. Yeah, must have been really overpaying that year.
Shout out HMRC.
Yeah, shout out them. That I put back into the business. So that was what I used to start.
£800?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like that much.
It's not.
Okay, tell me more.
No, and I think one thing that you can do, like if you are starting out, obviously I'd obviously want to like caveat all of this as well. I was living at home. My parents didn't charge me rent. I was living in London. So all of that kind of was very privileged, and I was able to work from my bedroom at my parents' house free of charge. And that made a really big difference. Also then when you start, if you can make things yourself, you are already cutting down production costs by 100%, because I don't need to pay myself until I've sold the piece.
Right.
So that's another way of kind of, you can get off the ground quite cheaply.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I used the £800. I bought some yarn. I quit my job. So I had my last paycheck and I had this £800. So, and then that was it really. I got knitting, got them on Depop, and then from the profit made from those pieces, I bought more yarn and I did more knitting, and it just kind of grew and grew from there. So that's kind of how you get I got the ball rolling. Also, there is lots of help out there for, especially if you're someone that's making something, if you work within craft. I pretty quickly got a free studio.
Yes. Talk to me.
It was at Cockpit Arts.
Tell me about Cockpit Arts.
So Cockpit Arts is a charity and a social enterprise. They have a building in Holborn in central London, and then they have one in Deptford.
Yeah, I've been to the Deptford one. It's really nice.
The Deptford one's really nice. And they run studio spaces that are funded. They're funded by all sorts of different kind of companies for various different makers. So I was on a young person scheme, so it was fun. When I was, I wouldn't get it anymore. Back in the day, I was on a young person scheme, and I got a free studio for a year.
That is amazing.
Which was amazing, and that changed everything.
That is free studio for a year.
For a year in central London. We were in Bloomsbury. It was so exciting. And it made all the difference. It meant that I could get more machines, which aren't that expensive. You can get them for £100 on eBay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I also brought in an intern to help me, because the workload was getting quite a lot by that point already. And then she came in and it was supposed to be an internship, and immediately I was like, no, I'm going to pay you. I think that's the right thing to do. Absolutely. She was a graduate. We knew each other. So I had Georgia come on board, and then we took it from there, really.
Shout out Georgia as well.
Yeah, Georgia.
Absolutely.
She's been with me pretty much from the beginning, and I honestly couldn't do it without her.
I love that. Because obviously, as you mentioned before, you started on Depop, and the success was booming from there. How did you initially grow your customer base? Because I feel like you've got quite a loyal thing going on.
Yeah.
How did you grow that?
It was really, the main thing for me was Instagram. I've dipped my toe into TikTok. I haven't quite got there yet, I don't think.
You're getting somewhere on there, I'll be honest with you. But we'll look back around to TikTok-y.
Yeah, it honestly just Instagram. I think as well, when you make something yourself, it's so important to show your process. Obviously, you don't want to give away all your secrets.
Yeah, don't give away any secrets on this show.
But showing your process, showing how they're made. People love to see how things are made. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
And we've always had cute studios, so showing the BTS of everything. So that's really helped grow the brand. And then also just good product shots, good shoots. Making things look as nice as possible, and then just posting, and it can. And I think the best way is for it to happen organically. Obviously, I think
it has, because you've got 20. How many followers have you got these days?
I think it's nearly 27.
Do you know how high that is?
Yeah, it's good.
Do you ever actually look at the number and think, if there were 27,000 people? This is how I look at followers, because I think when you have a number that's more than, let's say, 10,000. You do look at it as just a number, right?
Yeah.
But if you had 27,000 people in a room,
it's a lot.
And I say this to everyone following. I'm like, if you had all these people in the room, but that's so many people who are buying into your brand because they think it's cool. But it's also because you're cool. You're a cool kitty. You've worked with some big names. Officer Nike.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Nike. Officer Nike. Got to pronounce it right. How did that happen? That's really cool.
It was really cool.
That's really cool.
That was so exciting, honestly. And it's still one of the best products we've ever worked on. So that actually came about. A stylist got in contact about borrowing some pieces of mine for a different photo shoot with Office. Then she said, actually, hold on a minute. Let me get back to you. Office have kind of proposed something to me. Literally an hour later, I had a DM from a member of the Office marketing team saying that actually they would love for me to come on board and do a campaign.
Amazing.
And I was like, yeah, sure, have as many pictures as you want. And then she was like, no, you're the campaign. I was like, right, okay. I was like, all right, yeah. And I'd never done anything like that. I think there's one picture of my face on the Instagram, maybe one on the website. So it was quite nerve-wracking, but it was such an exciting opportunity. It was kind of a Nike Office campaign. shot it in my studio, got to chat to them. It was amazing. And as part of paying me another knitting machine that I've been...
They bought you a machine?
It's a really specialist machine that we now use to do all the seams on the jumpers.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, it was amazing. And they were like, oh, we'd like to donate a piece of machinery to you as like a thank you. It's kind of part of our scheme for new designers. And I'd had on my vision board for ages that I wanted this machine, but I was like, I can't afford it. And I was like, in my head, I was like, I don't want to pay for it, but I need to get the machine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I've been
spoken to existence.
Yeah, literally spoken. I'd been doing outreach to other people, like trying to find some of the money. Cockpits gave me a little bit of money towards it, but they're really expensive.
How much are you talking?
I think it was like $3,000.
Oh,
yeah, no, it's industry level. Like they have them in factories. Yeah,
bucks?
No, I could never afford that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And so yeah, it was. Yeah, that was really exciting.
Goodness.
It kind of just felt like everything aligned then. And from that, we've leveled up the business so much. That machine has changed everything, honestly.
So are you do you do vision boards, you do mood boards? How do you plan forward?
Do you know what? I am quite a go with the flow person.
Love that.
I think I love a bit of manifestation, love a bit of vision boarding. I like to write things down, and then do you know what? I like to let them just marinate. I don't like to do too much focusing, too much planning. I'll say that I want this. And then I think once you've said it once, you've written it down, it's in the back of your mind then, and you're working on it subconsciously.
So you've got quite like a laid back approach. Do you ever feel like you're super strict with anything?
No, I think part of the beauty of the business model that I run is that we are super nimble. I can react to the market. I can react to how things are going. I don't have loads of stock to shift.
I like that.
So I think
it takes some of the pressure off.
It takes the pressure off. You know, I haven't made huge investments
yet.
To come, I'm sure. Huge investments in stock. We're responding to the market. So yeah, I do think it is important to go with the flow. I think we're seeing a lot of fashion brands and, you know, e-commerce brands going under, shutting down. And
does that scare you at all?
It is scary. I think it is scary to see something like Matches go under, but I think it's also...
To bring everyone up, do you want to just give a bit of context?
Yeah. So Matches is a very big... They're a bit like a Selfridges and a Browns. They stocked a lot of designer brands. They were kind of like predated Net-a-Porter, I think.
I think that's a good way to describe it for those who aren't really aware.
Yeah, and they recently have gone into administration. I think they're not getting bought. I think they are. I think it's kind of the end for them.
So quite a few people have lost their jobs.
Lots of people have lost their jobs, and a lot of brands have gone under in the last few years, like smaller brands.
Yeah.
And I think it just shows that process of kind of wholesale isn't working for everyone. Doesn't seem to necessarily be working for the shops, and it's definitely not working for the brands.
Absolutely.
So I think there is so much room for someone like myself and other people doing these kind of more not so generic business models. Yeah.
Niche, like specific pieces. Yeah. And because you've built the following that you have, people are very much want to be a part of your journey. Yeah. And it's like, you're becoming a bit of a name.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
So people want to see your new stuff. They want to buy into your new stuff. And I do think having a social media presence is really
important.
And that goes across all the sectors. Yeah. Do you feel like, because you know Instagram has played a big role, and I know you're trying to delve into TikTok.
Yes, I am. Getting back on TikTok.
How are you finding the TikTok-y?
Do you know what? It's really difficult because Instagram and social media is such a big part of my job, but in my spare time, I try to stay off it.
Oh,
yeah.
Is it because you spend so much time
on it, and I find it really hard to be creative if I'm spending all my time scrolling. But on the flip side, I'm missing out on the TikTok trends. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it is something I might need, you know, that's kind of something I could bring someone in to help with.
I can talk to you on the side.
No, we should. Do a little TikTok collab. But yeah, no, it's so important. I think it's the way things are going.
I know, but you do see a lot of clotheswear brands trying to link in with the whole trend vibe, right? And I don't know how I feel about it, because I just think if a trend works, it works, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of brands are trying to appeal to the people who are spending 82 hours on TikTok. That is me. Yeah, I'm on there. Do you know what I mean? I'm on there being influenced left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
But I do think it's good to see the face behind the brand and stuff like that. So even if you were on TikTok talking about, you know, every time I have someone on this show, right, I start giving them tips for TikTok.
She's a TikTok queen.
I just do little silly bits there. But I think when people start to know you, they buy into the brand more. So 100%. Even if it was you just going on there, a little cheeky chat, walk around the studio with me, I will come for that episode. That TikTok, I will be there.
Yeah.
So doing things like that, because I feel like a lot of people are trying to shift into this TikTok area, and I don't think TikTok is as easy as people make out.
No, it's really difficult. I think also a part of the success of a lot of people like yourself on TikTok is that you're not a brand, you're a person, and that's what everyone's interested in. Yeah. Well, obviously you're a brand now, but do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think in some ways with clothing brands, I sometimes do think, oh, maybe you let the influencers be the influencers.
Yeah.
And the space that I hold in TikTok is it will be different. But that's just something I'm working through.
But are you moving towards involving influencers?
Definitely.
I was gifted this piece I'm wearing
right now. She was indeed.
I was gifted this piece. I did do a little TikTok about it.
She did.
How are you interacting or hoping to engage with influencers?
You know, I have always had like mixed feelings about gifting.
Tell me.
And influencer marketing.
Facts, the truth.
I think it's great if you're a bigger brand with the product to spare. I think when you're a smaller brand with everything handmade, it can feel like really hard to let go of those pieces for free. But that was before. And you know, we're at a place now where we do have more stock in house. You know, we're bigger, and I do think we have the scope for gifting. And it's been really interesting who kind of like I just decide to gift, and it's people that we already have really organic relationships with, that we know love the pieces, that they're going to love them. It's not even always necessarily about posting about them straight away, which is amazing that you did that, but it's more about them wearing them, loving them. Absolutely. And then that kind of like engagement with the brand growing organically. That's where I see it going,
because people constantly comment on people's content. Where's your top from? Where's your earring from? And obviously that is a way, it's like not word of mouth, but you are influencing without trying. Exactly. So I think obviously when you're choosing the influencers, it's good to think about what community do they have, what kind of following do they have, because there are some people, they don't actually care what the person's wearing. They're on there for something different. And I feel like with my page, for example, people constantly ask me, where's this from? Where's that from? So if ever a brand wants me to have a little something, I'll be wearing it. You know what I mean? If I like it, I enjoy working with small brands, because I just feel like it's where I want to be going in terms of working with people with niches, just cute little fun things, you know? So
and it feels authentic, I think, then as well. I think, you know, carpet gifting isn't the right, again, it's also not sustainable. You know, I've had gifting from shoes companies and stuff, and they say if you already have a pair, we'd rather you wear those to the event than gift again, because you don't need to be sending out all this product.
Absolutely. That's actually quite a key one. Is there anything about sustainability and influencing gifting? Is there anything there? What is the...
Do you know what? It's not my realm, but I do think there has been a shift in gifting from what I've seen from bigger brands to being more targeted with it, because, you know, especially in this at the moment, no one's got any money. The brands don't have any money.
Nobody has any money.
You know, they probably don't have the stock to spare.
It's cost of living, babe.
Honestly, it's hard out here.
It's not funny, it's very serious.
No, it's not good at all.
Very, very serious. But people are still shopping at the end of the day.
No, people will always shop. I think that's important to know as well.
Are there any key top tips you would give? Because obviously you're a female founder. You're a founder. What does that feel like? That's quite a big word.
It is a big word. And I kind of did it by accident, so it's why it's always even scarier.
That's though, right?
Yeah.
So the people who are watching this or listening to this and think, I want to get into it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Other
than everything amazing you said in the last 45 minutes.
I would say from my experience, it's really important to think about your craft and what you're producing and what you're putting out there. I think that can be seen from afar if the product is good or not. I think you have to, and obviously this only comes from a fashion point of view, but you have to make sure that those pieces are really well made.
Absolutely.
Also, you know, your USP, is it USP?
Unique selling point. Because I always go to say USB because we grew up in the USB world. Yeah, and that's not a thing anymore.
No.
Anyways.
You have to think of a USP. What's special about this? What's exciting about this? What's going to get people talking? And then about who's going to buy this.
Absolutely.
Like, do they have the money for this price point? how am I going to make these people want it? I think those are the top three.
The top three.
Yeah.
Write that down, highlight it, manifest it, put it on your board.
Yeah.
What can we see from you coming soon? Can I just say something, right? Can I just say something? I really envision you with home accessories. And listen, hear me out.
Okay.
I can imagine cushion covers. I can imagine little bits from you. Like, I want you, not just on my body, I want you in my home.
Interesting.
You know? Are we going to see homeware? We're going to see menswear. And I think you've got another market, baby wear.
Yes. The baby wear.
Like a little two-piece.
Oh, stunning.
Right? A little two-piece from you. Would be very stunning.
No.
What are the big plans?
At the moment, we don't have any plans for any of that. But, I have always joked and said that, like, once I have kids, I'm just going to pivot and just do baby wear. And that's just going to be it. Catch me doing baby wear.
That would be so cute.
But no, I definitely think menswear is interesting because I get a lot of questions about menswear. Yeah. Menswear is very big.
Yeah,
the jumpers are much bigger.
Yeah,
they are. It's definitely something we're thinking about. Like, I have male friends that wear these pieces, so I think that's definitely something we're thinking about. But for now, it's just bigger and better.
You're just focusing on what you've got and making that small stunning.
And I've been having a lot of thoughts recently about where I want to take this, where I want to go. And I think where I've decided is, I really like how it works. I really like what I'm doing. And just to keep focusing on, that creativity, making more beautiful pieces.
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily about selling more, it's about selling more special pieces.
Oh my gosh, that is like a tagline.
Yeah.
Well, that was lovely. Well, thank you so much for joining it. It has been Out of Office with Kim. We've had a wonderful time. If you want to find me at Kim, OOOKIM at Instagram. We're going to be doing some bits on TikTok. Where can the people find you?
So I'm at Molly O'Halloran Knitwear.
Can you spell O'Halloran for everybody?
It's OHALLORAN.
Yep, lovely.
Knitwear on Instagram and on TikTok.
All the same?
I think so.
O'Halloran, lovely. Is it Irish?
Yes.
O'Halloran, because you've got an apostrophe, right?
There is an apostrophe, but that's not any on any of the social media. It's not a character you can use on anything.
Really?
No, you can't even have it on your passport and stuff.
So only when you're written?
I think it's on my passport, but you can't. I did a visa application. I had to take it out. I thought it was quite rude.
Where was you going?
Trying to go to America, but they wouldn't let me in.
Why?
Yeah, that's a story for another day.
That's an off-camera one.